Support everything we do at MWP News by visiting co-fi.com/MWP News. Every donation helps us stay independent. For breaking entertainment news, reviews, and more, check out MWPnews.com. If you love games, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MWP for reviews and gameplay. Links for all of this will be in the show notes, as well as links to the other podcasts. Thank you for your continued support. Good morning, and welcome to the Backlog Files. I am Adam. So, let's talk about Winter Burrow. We were going to talk about this last week, but Akuparna did give us the code for Gigasword, so that ended up taking priority. So Winter Burrow you can get on Steam for PC. You can get it it's on Xbox Game Pass if you still have that because you haven't canceled it. It's it's on, I think it's on PlayStation. It's all over the place. You can get it wherever you get your games. And the point in all of this is, what the fuck is going on here? The point I'm trying to make in all of this is that it's on every platform. It's an indie game. And the conversation we're going to have about this is fundamentally, at what point does your visual style not cut the check, for lack of a better word? And what I mean by that is, this is a game that I was introduced to because it came up on Steam. And again, like I've said before on this, a lot of the indie games that I end up finding and we end up talking about on here come up from the Discovery queue. And I highly recommend you check out the Discovery queue on Steam. It's really interesting to give you some idea of some, newer games that are from smaller developers that wouldn't ordinarily get your attention. If you play a lot of indie games, it'll give you more. So this is on this came from my Discovery queue, and I was like, oh, it looks cute. It has a very, kids storybook aesthetic to it, and I really like the way it looked, and it's like, okay, it's a survival crafting game. We'll see how it plays. So fundamentally, the question becomes, like, at what point does the aesthetic wear out and not be enough to carry the game over? And I think that this is a 4-star game. I don't think it's perfect. I think there's a lot of quality of life issues that don't really hang in. But realistically, I think it works more often than it doesn't. And let's get into what it is. So the entire conceit of the game is you're this little mouse. You move into you move back home after I think your parents are killed, and you move back home. Or your parents die, and you move back home, and your house is in disarray, so you have to fix your house. And while you're in your house, you can do all sorts of things. You can knit, you can bake, you can just hang out, and it's very aesthetic. It's very, cozy. They do all of that very well. And that's kind of the beginning and end of that aspect of this game. To be completely honest with you, that's kind of all there really is to it. You can go out and explore, you find your aunt, you go out and you have to do other missions and stuff like that, and you get an axe, you get a pickaxe. If you've played one of these, you've played every one of them. It's kind of the same kind of gameplay loop. Now, here's the thing that kind of throws me about this. Number one, the exploration to get stuff is kind of part of the issue. The exploration to get stuff is kind of where you end up in this weird place where things aren't necessarily all what we're looking for. The map is very large, and you can only be out for so long because of the temperature. You can eventually knit thicker clothing that will allow you to be out longer, but, that's that. It's not particularly well balanced in terms of how much room you have in your inventory to keep, to keep, items that will increase your warmth on you, like tea and stuff like that. But, those are options when you're in the field as well. And you go out, you collect shit, you bring it back to your house, you craft shit, you go back out, rinse, repeat. You play these kind of games a million times before. And that is kind of what the issue is that it's like, okay, so you have to go out and you have to get all this stuff, but you have to kind of keep in mind where certain things are, which is one thing, but also it's not meant to be particularly hard. Like, the game is not designed to be taxing in that way. It's a cozy game. The issue is, too often, you have to remember where things are without a map. And that's kind of the problem. It's the kind of thing where it's like, you're going to sit down and you're going to play this game a lot in one sitting. And then you can go back like 2 days later and you're going to be like, all right, where the fuck is everything again? Because there's no built-in mini-map to tell you where stuff is. And that's kind of a problem, considering the map is kind of expansive. There's a lot of little areas that you can go to that will give you new stuff and give you more, different mushrooms, different fruits, different wood types, different rocks, and all that stuff, and different animals to kill that will give you, that will give you more bugs, to kill, to give you different types of meat that you can use to cook, and all of these things, it's like you have to just keep in mind where they are, because there's really no map to point to and be like, okay, well, I'm here, this is where I need to go. And what ends up happening is, like, this happened to me on at least 2 occasions. It's like, I got back to the main area, and this main area is just so big. Like, the main area where your house is just so big and kind of all samey looking that, like, I got lost and ended up losing health as you go, because it's like, all right, well, now I'm cold, and the cold is starting to get to him, so I got to walk around and try to keep warm and, like, find my way back to the house, and it's just kind of a little bit annoying to do. And it's like, all right, well, but you got to go down there because you have to progress the story. It's just kind of little shit like that kind of gets in the way. A good quality of life thing I think that would improve this is a map. Like, and I feel like this is a weird thing to be having this conversation about in the aftermath of Starfield, because I seem to recall that being the big complaint with Starfield too, was that it's like, hey, there's no map at launch. Why is there no map? Like, no local map to see where you're going or where you need to go. Like, that's kind of a big deal. And I'm not saying we need indicators or anything like that to point out everything we need to do at all times, all the time. I'm saying that, like, in a situation like this where you have this big this big world, it's like, give us different areas you can go to. Let us, as we explore, chart out where we're going. So that way I can look back at the map and be like, oh, well, this is where I need to go now. Or if I put the game down for a few days and get into something else, I can be like, oh, well, this is what I need to do next. And that's something that's kind of fundamentally missing from this game. What else have we got that I wanted to address with this? I did really like the aesthetic of it. I like the idea of crafting new furniture, and I think that's the other really big issue that I have with this, is that you're in this place where you have all of this. You're in this little house, and it's a tree stump. We can go underneath, and you can grow mushrooms down there. But that's kind of what this what you're generally doing is just kind of living in this house. And there are like 9 different types of furniture you can make. There's like the couch, chair, the bed, the dresser, the chest, the end table, the living room table. I think there are like 2 others that I'm forgetting, but you get to build all these things. Where the game kind of loses me a little bit, and maybe I'm the minority on this, why are there like 7 different types of each of these when there's no difference besides aesthetic? Like, you can make a different bed, but there's no difference in the bed depending on which bed you make. It's just whichever one you think looks the nicest. And the amount of time it takes to unlock this stuff, it just takes a little bit. It's just, what am I doing here? It feels at a certain point like you're kind of just padding out what we're doing in the game. And the thing that could have more options is severely lacking, and that being the knitting. I think that there are enough meters in this game for hunger, for warmth, for health, and all that stuff. That, like, it's weird that you have all of these things, and the clothing options really only ever affect one of them. And that's warmth, because you're going out in the snow, and that really only affects, the warmth is the only thing that your clothing affects. Like, why is it not a defense boost? Why is it like, why, like, I don't think you can conceivably have it affect your hunger meter, your energy meter. But like that's the other thing, is that like there are so many meters in this game, and the foods all kind of buff them, but the buffs aren't nearly efficient enough to make it worth it. Like a level up system would have been nice. Because then what ends up happening is, too, the other thing to take into consideration is that you don't really have a ton of inventory space, and every food item has a buff, but every food item takes up a slot. Like, you can have up to 20, I think, of each food item, but each one takes up a spot in your inventory. And it's like, okay, well, why? Like, why is it not something else you can do with this? And everything is so kind of spread out that, like, the buffs don't hold long enough to where it's like, okay, let me just buff up before I leave the house, boom, done, go out, and by the time, like, let's say you have to get to, like, the area where the mole is, like, your buffs are going to be almost out by the time you get there. And that's the other thing, is that it's like, if you want to warm up, one of the easy ways to warm up is to start a campfire. Okay, great. You want to start a campfire? You need 2 inventory slots that are committed just to that, because you need an igniter and you need a campfire set, and you need both of those working together. Or you can just, without a map, keep in mind where the campfire remnants are, and you can just bring the lighter to that and light it up. So that's an option too. And again, now we get into kind of what the problem with this game is. The problem comes down to there's not enough, there are these deep systems that you don't really get too deep in, and it feels very shallow. And then we get back to the question that we opened up with. Is this something that they do a good job of laying out and making this something that is worth playing for a prolonged period of time? Which is what you're inherently trying to do with a survival crafting game, is it's meant to have longevity. But does this game accomplish that in a world where you have all of these kind of glaring issues that need to be addressed? And I would say the answer to that is no. I think that the aesthetic is good, and I think that the 4-star rating applies to a very specific case where it's like, let me play through this and play through it once. And you can sit in one sitting, and you can get all the achievements, and you can explore the world fully and do that. But this is not a game that's going to have replay value. If you're going to sit down and do it all in one experience, that's fine, and that's why I'm giving it the 4-star. Because that one sit-down experience is really fun, and it's really enjoyable. And the puzzling aspect of trying to figure out how to get places is going to be part of that experience the first time. It's not something that, if you're looking for a prolonged experience, is going to be there for you. And that's kind of my disappointment with it, and that's why it's not 5 stars. You can't, for something like this, to get to the 5th star, it needs to be a game that I'm going to keep perpetually installed on my computer. And, I'm not saying every game has to be Minecraft, but, like, Minecraft is just perpetually installed on my computer. Because I will go back and I'll play Minecraft, and I'll just go fuck around in there for a little bit. I did that last night. Like, last night I just went and fucked around in Minecraft, and it's like, why am I doing this? Why the fuck not? Because it's fun. It's fun enough, and why would I not do this? But that is kind of, and truth be told, tonight I may go back and play more Minecraft, or Tuesday while I'm watching Frankenstein for review on Beware Spoilers on Wednesday, I might watch more. I might play more Minecraft while I do that, and it's just as a second screen kind of thing. Like, Minecraft's on my computer, on my TV I have Frankenstein, and that's kind of the weird, that's kind of just like Winter Burrow can never really be that, because it's short and there's not enough in the actual gameplay to make it worth the time to go through and really commit. And that's kind of my disappointment with it, and why it's not 5 stars. But look, the visuals are charming, and while you're sitting down that first time, you're going to have a great time. You're just not going to have, it's something that you're going to play through and then you're never going to think about again, which is unfortunate, because I love the gameplay style. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe the developer commits. Maybe this is something where it's like Stardew Valley, where it's just like, and that's another thing I gotta play more of for the YouTube channel, but like, maybe that's what this is. Maybe the developer just, commits and is just like, hey, I'm going to spend a ton of time and a ton of energy just dealing out free updates, like, Minecraft, like No Man's Sky, which at this point it's like, what are we on? Like almost 10 years of free updates for No Man's Sky. Like, if that's what this is, then like, maybe it will be something great. Maybe we will have that be what this is going forward. I can't review a game based on what could happen years from now, though. I can only review the game that's physically in front of me. And that's why this is a 4. Because as much as I want to like it, as much as I want to have an excuse to come back to it, I don't see that happening. But we'll wrap up there for today. I haven't selected next week's game yet, but if you want to keep up on what we're doing, you can go to mwpnews.com. That is the website where we put up all of our stuff. If you go on there, you can see a list of everything we're doing. Every Sunday I'll put up a schedule with what's going on here, on Beware of Spoilers, on 30-minute reviews, on exploring hyperspace lanes, and on the YouTube channel MWP News Gaming. If you could go on there, you can hit the subscribe button and put your email in, and you don't even have to go to the website. You can just get it to your email. And we'll be doing giveaways on there too. That's the other thing. We'll be giving away digital copies of movies and stuff like that. And then also this Friday we'll be announcing something cool that is coming out next year in November. And we're going to be debuting that on Friday. But until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.